Hi guys, Hadrigon here. Hope you're having a good day. I am, because I'm going to be reviewing Hunter x Hunter Yorknew City OVA.
Damn, son, it's Major League Rock.
And she till I die, all these lollies call me rubbing on her thighs, she stay wet for her. Shawty so kawaii.
So, where to start with this masterpiece? It really is a masterpiece. The OVA of Yorknew is my favorite anime of all time, bar none. It is incredible. And the thing that makes this anime so great is that the Hunter x Hunter 1999 anime was incredible. And what this does is it doesn't try to reimagine that anime. No, it's an amelioration from the anime. It's everything, the tone, the soul, the art style, the pacing, the character, chemistry. It's all there, but it's all improved upon. And there's some new additions to the mix. So, I'm going to talk about it. First of all, one thing I love about this is that with the enhanced budget, the enhanced animation, and a bit tighter pacing, still, nice and slow, but things move a bit more briskly. There's a sense of pacing. If there was one critic I would have had of the 1999 anime, it's the pacing. It's not better than the 2011 anime, but considering 1999 is almost a masterpiece, that's the only thing, is that at certain times things could have rolled a bit faster. They lacked a bit of momentum at certain periods. And here, this is what these 8 episodes do so well. There's always a flowing sense of momentum. In fact, it's a kind of series where during these 8 episodes, you're constantly pressing next episode, next episode, next episode. Whilst in 1999, you were sort of, wow, that was amazing, but you're satisfied to some extent. Whilst with this OVA, they did a really good job with the cut-off point and start-off points of the episodes to make it really, roll fast. So this starts off with, of course, Kurapika finding out that the Phantom Troop is still alive. And of course, the characterization of Kurapika in this is amazing. It is perfect. Through his facial expressions, you kind of see the conflict. And this is the constant theme in this, is the conflict in Kurapika's head. You've got Kurapika, the boy, the young kid who wants his friends, who's a kind and gentle soul. And then you've got the kind of alter ego. You've got the masochist looking for revenge, who's bloodthirsty and trying to settle the honor of his clan. And this dynamic is constantly compounding against each other. And we see that in the first episode where he tells Killua something he shouldn't have really told. He told him his Nen abilities. And Killua's like, you idiot, why would you tell us something so important? And Kurapika is doing it because he's constantly losing control of both of these sides. So you get these moments where Kurapika is in one extreme or another. And I think that's very interesting because it really plays on it more than any other rendition of the series from the manga, 99 or 2011. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Another aspect I really enjoyed was the Phantom Troop. Nothing has done the Phantom Troop like this. The banter, the chemistry, the characterization, especially of Franklin, which I was pretty surprised with. It's just incredible, All the bouncing parts of them, you can really feel each of their personalities. And it really works well because every decision that happens, that of course we all know of because we're familiar with the story, it kind of gets sugar-coated, but in a good way. Everything that happens, there's a bit of setup happening before, which, yes, technically filler, but it does really well to really enhance those moments. For instance, one material it does really well with is with the background. And what I mean by the background is, for instance, things that in the manga are just sketches, and in the 2011 anime are just, pedestrians, NPCs. It uses those characters to enhance the story. For instance, when they're in that hotel, I think it's the Bellamere Hotel, all the NPCs are talking and it co-aligns with what's happening. The guy's saying, where's the receptionist? Where's the receptionist gone? And then Kurapika was a receptionist, whilst beforehand it was a bit like Death Note, where you kind of had to figure it out yourself, whilst here everything makes sense. All those little moments where Nobunaga, of course, is chasing down who he thinks is Kurapika, and he goes and he kills I think, what was his name? I think it was Satots. He kills him, the guy, the hired by the Nostrad family. And in that moment, all the pedestrians are like, yo, did he just cut off his head? And everyone's like, man, that's crazy. And then they're shooting at each other, of course, with Pakunoda's then, but it's just like, now they're shooting each other. Is this a stage? What is happening? And you kind of get this thing where beforehand, it felt a bit separated from Yorknew, the setting, because there's all these extraordinary, extravaganzas happening. But here, everything is connected to the setting. You've got those scenes where Leorio is briskly trying to get out of traffic, and he's going through the park pavements, and you kind of see everyone's, oh, what's happening? And afterwards, it's consistent. They don't just forget about those characters. You can even pick up on the story through the NPCs. The more they figure out that, hey, something's really not right now in Yorknew. And I think that's just amazing, because it adds a whole new layer to the story, because you can place yourself in those characters. Even though we don't have any names for them, we'll never know who they are. They are us in a way. You're seeing their reactions as if you're watching a reactor on YouTube. And I thought that was incredible. And also, it shows that there's less exposition that needs to be done. I really love this concept, show don't tell. And in the 2011 anime, that was a big flaw. You had Kurapika's drowning in an indescribable emptiness. Whilst here, you don't even need to do exposition, because the NPCs are kind of asking each other what's happening. So they're narrating it in a way that feels fluid, that feels realistic, and actually enhances the story. So, in here we've got, of course, the conflict within the troop. That's another constant. It's a bit of a parallel to Kurapika's conflict. It's a conflict of the spider. These two opposing sides which are converging on each direction of the other. You've got the loyalty of the Phantom Troop towards Crawler. You've got the gentleness of Kurapika, and then you've got both the masochists, honor, power of both sides. So I thought that dynamic was very well done. I really enjoyed it, all the discussions with the troop. I really like how they characterized Nobunaga in here. I felt that his emotion, which they did show in all the adaptations when he cried in front of Gon, they expanded on that. You can feel his impatience, you can feel his excitement, you can feel Crollo's respect for him. And I love that. I loved, of course, all the Hisoka scenes. I thought that Hisoka was handled well. Kind of got given this mysterious aura back about him, where we really had that in the Hunter exam. But later on in the series, it kind of evaporates a bit. And he just becomes this crazy guy. Here he was mysterious. There's lots of moments where you can see his introspection, but it doesn't tell us what about. And it kind of leaves you a bit of reflection. What's Hisoka doing? What's Hisoka planning? And I love that, because at the end, when, of course, Hisoka goes to the airports of Lingon, everything clicks. And this 8 episodes, you could view them by themselves and not have watched any Hunter x Hunter, and you'd still genuinely understand what's happening. I thought that was really well done. I loved how you see Gon and Killua really using their intelligence here. You see a bit more back and forth with their dialogue, where, yes, what they did was always intelligent, no matter where you read or watch the story. But here, you're taken through it. You see the moment where they're with Leorio in the car, and they're watching the Phantom Troop come out of this station. You're seeing the way that the subway system works in New York, or Yorknew. And it's incredible, I like as well the way that they handled, I forgot his name, but, the butler that got decapitated, his relationship. Whilst beforehand, they're really showing head on in the different adaptations. Here, it's very subtle, You you see flashbacks where she's almost like blushing, and we did see that before, but it didn't tell us what. So we finally got that payoff, and I thought that was very clever to have a payoff and the sad moment at the same time, because it kind of does double impact, two birds with one stone. And I love that. I loved Melody in here. She seems sharp, quick. You know, she talked a lot more. We see a lot of her abilities. And it really gets tested when they're in the airport, because Kurapika's completely relying on her. And even Killua's relying on her. He's like, you know, if Melody's here, she's going to make up a plan. She's going to hear us. She's going to tell by our heartbeats. You know, she's going to hear my little whispers the Phantom Troop can't. And I really love this. And, okay, so I'm just going to go a bit chronologically through the events. You've got the moment where the Spider are all getting their fortune, and Hisoka realizes that if they see what he has, he's gonna get murked by the entire troop. And in this moment, right, it doesn't explain to you straight away what happens. Everything flows fast, and afterwards you got Hisoka reflecting on, whew, if I hadn't switched my fortune around, I'd have been cooked. And I really like that, because it kept the pacing moving, you know, fast. It felt fast, and that was good, because this has always been a scene which has felt a bit slow. And yeah, I love that. I love Nobunaga going at Hisoka. Incredible animation. You can see the quick movement of Hisoka. We've seen other of Chrollo's Nen abilities where he's teleported Nobunaga away from Hisoka. I thought that was great. It showed as well the intellect of Chrollo. The fact that he could, at one moment, focus on getting Nobunaga away from Hisoka, and then also focus on figuring out what's going on with Hisoka. So I thought that was great. We see a lot of those moments of Chrollo, especially where, of course, Killua and Melody start going to the Phantom Troop hideouts, and he starts saying, you know, Kotopi, make all these backups, and they start heading towards Yorknew. And in that whole dynamic, you see all these parties moving alongside each other. I thought that it was very well done. I thought that by the time we went to the payoff, where, of course, Kurapika loses control and he's full of bloodlust, and then afterwards, you know, Gon saves him and Killua comes in clutch. And I love this, because we saw Killua and Melody running behind, so we always had in our head that Killua was a moving part. It didn't feel like he just came out of nowhere. So once they get captured, they're in the hotel. We've got Leorio. Woo! Leorio is there, and he saved the day, because Melody and Kurapika did not come in time. He's there at the newspaper getting angry. He's looking at Chrollo. He's like, what are you looking at? I'll go at all of you right now. It's like, dang, the courage, the bravery. This is the same Leorio we saw punch Jing. And it was amazing. After that, the anticipation. Oh my goodness. When I tell you, I was nervous. I was nervous, and I know what's going to happen. Everything felt slow. And that was amazing, because this is one of those things of the pacing where, contrary to all the others, it felt like it went too fast. Here, every minute felt like an hour. It's okay. We've got 5 minutes left. We've got 3 minutes left. 1 minute. And Pakunoda's going to search their memories. And then, of course, Killua's like, wait. Everything is, you know, on the edge of your seats. I talked about it earlier, about the whole thing of Kurapika and the receptionist. And before the camera angles, they were looking everywhere but the receptionist, all of them. I thought that was amazing. I thought that afterwards, the payoff where Kurapika had captured Chrollo and he was just beating him up. I thought that was great. I thought that Chrollo staying composed and analyzing Kurapika in that moment. And the fact that we can see the calmness in him. You know, this rendition of Chrollo, even more so than the 1999 where he looks a bit psychotic. And the 2011 where he looks a bit like a smart ass a bit, you know. He seemed very clever here. You know, not just like in his character, which of course he always is, but just in his demeanor, in his, art style and everything, the way he was drawn, the way that drawing was animated, everything about it was great. And we see Crollo figure out Kurapika's weakness. And then this is where things all get real for Pakunoda, as she's really the star of this OVA. Pakunoda starts going in her inner Death Note monologue, which I thought was great, because they added a lot of things to it. Especially that scene where she's like, is the room inside my head? And you see her brain, and that just shows the anxiety and the stress she's feeling. And later on, the more and more Kurapika is imposing himself on Pakunoda to be submissive and do as he will. If not, Crollo dies. The more and more we see the troop fall apart. We see the malfunctionings of the troop. The spider without its head. And in that moment, it's really clear every character's characterization. In a way here, in those small moments, right, with, I can't believe I forgot his name, the spider of the Nen power to make his punch more powerful. I remember it, but we see him where he has these small moments of care where he just gives up. Whereas Phaeton doesn't. Phaeton's like, no, this is stupid, we don't need Crollo. And it really shows a bit where everyone's head's at. You see Franklin's extremely composed, almost to a ridiculous sense. You've got Shalnock, who's always quick-witted. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? And in these moments where it's just a spider talking, you've got Gon and Killua observing them, you can feel Gon and Killua are learning about them. And that helps towards what happens later on. So, as the spider's conflict grows, Pakunoda gains more and more independence from the spider, but she realizes that to save Crollo, who now, she is viewing Crollo as a dear friend, not as the leader. In that moment, she ceased to be part of the Phantom Troop. She wasn't a member anymore, because she's betraying the troop. She's acting against the interest of the whole, out of selfishness. And we get these moments where she's quietly taking Gon and Killua away, and she's completely silent, in reflection, asking questions. You can kind of sort of tell that she knows her life's over, because no matter what happens, deep down, she kind of knows Crollo isn't going to forgive her. And she's right. And it's in that moment where the climax is happening, and everyone's going to the airport. Of course, Hisoka hide Illumi, which I thought was great. And you see, Kaluto, Killua's younger brother, as a distraction so that Illumi can get his clone to replace Hisoka. I thought that was good. In that moment where the chaos is happening, you just see it. You see Pakunoda breaking down. You can feel it on her face. And once the exchange is happening, and Crollo walks towards her and walks past her, not even that, he can't, talk to her, which of course he can't. Killua forbid it. But in this characterization, they made it very clear that Crollo walked past her like she wasn't even there. And that was heartbreaking. I thought it was very symbolic of who Crollo is as a character. He's someone that doesn't know who he is, as he said. And that's why Killua was very, emphasized on Killua saying, what's with this guy? And that's the thing, is that this guy isn't a guy. Crollo is more like a robot than he is a human. He doesn't know what or who he is. And that makes him not really view people or reciprocate them from his personal experience. Where a normal person would be grateful to Pakunoda for saving them, Crollo was just thinking, you're dead to me. And I thought it was harsh, but it was hard-hitting. I thought that's what the finale needed, because that was a gut punch. Then, of course, we got Killua, of course, in his friendly side, and then soon after, fainting from anger. and fainting from disappointments. And I thought that it was kind of good that they left it inconclusive of what's going to happen with him, because really, his story arc's only just developing now in the Succession Contest arc. So we also get, of course, Hisoka and Crollo. I loved Hisoka's, denial. He was in denial. And in the anime of 2011 and in the manga, he's kind of shocked. But here he's like, no, I refuse to believe this is what's happening. And it shows Hisoka's stubbornness and almost his stupidity in a way. Because he's so willing to fight Gon when he's older, to fight Crollo. But he's willing to put himself in disadvantaged positions. Here, he left the spider, which was benefiting him. He was able to, have the assistance he needed to go and kill people while having an entity protecting him. But now, he's left the spider for no reason. He's revealed himself and forsaken his chance to fight Crollo for no reason. And you see his anger with that, and there's these moments in the airship back where you see Hisoka's face, and he is genuinely depressed. He looks a lot like Kurapika did in the 1999 anime, when he found out that the troop were dead. I thought that was great. That was, it added a different layer to Hisoka's character, which I thought was very needed. After that, we've got the finale with Pakunoda. Got the symbolism of her finding the stray cat on her way back and helping the cat go back to its group, which of course is symbolic of the Phantom Troop with that black cat on top, which is of course Crollo. She's like, you're back with them now. And I thought that the symbolism here was that she was able to get the troop where they needed to be, and she'd forsaken herself for it. Because really, even though logically in essence the troop don't need Crollo, as every single episode here emphasized, is what makes the Phantom Troop the Phantom Troop. He's not just the head, he's the soul of the group. Even though the Phantom Troop would exist without Crollo, it just wouldn't be the same. It's like, really off topic, but Ben 10, right? That original series, that is the soul of it. All these remakes, it doesn't carry the same emphasis. And that'd be how it'd be like with the Phantom Troop if they were to restart, as, Franklin said, without Crollo. And you got that moment where she comes back to the troop. She says, do you trust me? And you get this moment of Nobunaga where it's been building up to it. Nobunaga is learning to love, really. That was a character arc he started going on since the death of Uvo. And as she shoots him with her memories, her life force, you see all these flashbacks, which are very expertly done, since it just kind of shows the important stuff, her emotions. And you see through all their facial expressions how much that marks them. And it actually helps for the next arc, of course, at the beginning of Greed Island, where Gon and Killua bump into Finks, that's his name, Finks and Phaeton, where they're just not even trying to fight. They're just like, Paku was really appreciative of you. And we see that moment at Greed Island happening here. It was almost in parallel. Especially Sphinx, his facial expression almost looked like he wanted to cry. And then the symbolism, the chain coming from the grounds. And then getting... I must be like tearing up, man. Getting Pakunoda. And then her dying. And Machi. Sorry, not Machi. And, wow, I'm forgetting names today, but with her closing her eyes, and that's it, she's there in peace. She'd succeeded. She'd done her job. And I thought that coincided very well with the start of the OVA, which is really about the flashback, about all the original Phantom Troop members in Meteor City. back when they were young, back when they had no purpose, no sense of identity, no sense of group. And Marcus Crowlaw still doesn't have that sense of identity. They've all developed those identities, and that's what's allowed them to really respect Pakunoda, because she was willing to do what all of them would have done. So in that moment where they were all doubting Pakunoda's loyalty to the Phantom Troop, was she being manipulated? Why is she doing this? They've all been reaffirmed by it. So now Pakunoda's will is theirs. So they've been a lot more lenient towards Gon and Killua as a consequence of Pakunoda being touched by them. And this is the best anime I have ever seen. Hunter x Hunter, Yorknew City, OVA, is a fucking masterpiece. 10 out of fucking 10. Hidrugon. Peace out.
羽ばたいたら戻らない